Today we have Dr. P.J. Singh with us to talk to us about his entrepreneurial journey, from where he all started, his family background, and how from a student to becoming a PhD scholar and getting a doctorate. His journey is amazing. Let's listen from him. Nice meeting you, doctor. Good to see you.
Well, how are you?
Fine, thank you. So tell us about your journey.
See, in fact, I did my graduation and then masters in pharma sciences from Punjab University. Immediately, I had no plans, but then I got a job as a college lecturer. So I went there. It was a beautiful first job, but then what I found was that only one class a day, and the whole time I was free. And I would always, I always thought of having some kind of a very ambitious, a very, full of energy and full of enthusiasm in my job. So I thought of leaving that job and then moving on to something more active. So then I thought of going into the industry.
So when did you choose, what was the backdrop in which you selected this particular line of orthopedics?
Since I was from the medical background, in any case I had to go into some kind of a
medical background?
I did my masters in pharmaceutical sciences, right? So I had to go into some kind of a medical field. So I did not know what to do. I simply went in for a very organized survey of the market. And the market survey was very clear, very objective, so that I could get out a very clear indication what should I do in my life. So I planned that I'll visit about 100 chemists in 8 cities. So 800 in all. So those were the days when Google was not there, the information was not easily accessible. And then I did this survey.
That was a survey done by you, yourself?
By myself, and visiting each and every chemist myself, right? But there was a huge sort of information I got out of that, right? So my survey had very clear objectives. One was that the product I make should be in demand. The product I make should have high profits. And then today, yes, I did not had money then, so then I thought the initial capital investment should be very small. And then last of all, which is very important to me, that whatever I go into, if I even start small today, it should be scalable. So these were 4 or 5 objectives with which I did it,
initially.
right? And then I got 2 things which clearly, outshined my survey. One was that having a retail chain of pharmacies, which was not very common those days. I'm talking of 25, 30 years back. And the other thing was the orthopedic appliances. Though India had all the possible raw materials available in abundance, but then for some reasons these products were either very low quality if they were manufactured in India, and good quality but very, very high priced if they were imported. So I saw a great opportunity in this product line. So I thought if I could somehow create a high quality product and also make it affordable, so it should be a great success story for me. And over the years, Now after 25 years, I think the time has proven me right.
Let's go back to your starting point. So, what were the initial challenges in terms of capital, of course? After that, what was your initial investment from where you started?
I tell you, if I put across the initial challenges for me, and almost all the startups are almost similar, like so where to get the technology from, what product to make, where will you get the money from, and how to market your products. No, I did not. I'll tell you how we sort of, accomplished that problem. What we did was that survey, I told you that in any case I had found what I wanted to do, and then came the technology part of it. So what I did, I started writing letters to all the big brands of the world then, and then I would say that I want to have a collaboration with you. So in the process, they would ask for my background, which was at that point of time I had no credibility. They were asking what kind of money I can spend on, or they were kind of quoting some money. I did not have that also. But a lot of conversation, letters going in here and there, I got a lot of insight into their business, what product range they are making, what kind of quality specs they are using, what raw materials, how do they market their product. And I had huge sort of catalogs with me and some kind of technology information from me. But that was not enough. Then I thought, yes, I have some information, but I still cannot make a product. So I went to a small manufacturer, Trans Yamuna, Delhi, and I asked him to make for me. So that was how I started.
So you first got the job work done.
Yes, it was job work done, and I improvised his products through the knowledge I got from these foreign catalogs and information. And somehow these products were better than what was available in India with that little input I gave to him. So that was how I got the technology to start with.
So that was your technological input. And then what was the initial investment when you set up your own
So
factory?
it was zero almost. It was around 50,000 rupees.
You started with an investment of 50,000 rupees.
Yes.
No loan.
No loans. It was not required. I tell you why. Because, if I tell you how we started, creating a company and then a marketing plan around that product line. I told you this product was in any case in huge demand. That was one good factor. The second thing was that, there were myths in the society, in the marketing world, that if the product comes from Mumbai, it's a good quality product. If you have a foreign collaboration, it's a good quality product. If the brand sounds great, it is a good quality product. If the marketing man has a big degree, it is a good quality product. So if there is a catalog, a multicolored catalog 25 years back, when I tell you, people were not actually making catalogs to sell their products. They were selling their products in poly bags, and we were the first ones to pack them in a beautiful box. So we used all the myths to create a brand around.
So you're saying you use those myths, knowing fully well they are all myth.
Well, I know that actually quality is something else, but perception is something else. So we created that perception of a big brand. And then what we will do is we will go to a city, we will invite all the big distributors of that city to a big restaurant, the best of available then, and then a pep talk.
But that requires money.
That requires money. So that is where 50,000 was spent, right? So that sort of created. We gave them the beautiful future of the company. We did not talk of the present, and we showed them some products, and we showed them what we are, right? And that was enough to create an illusion that it is a big brand. Now what happened? So, and our condition thereafter would be that you have to deposit 20,000 as an advance, give a guarantee of 20,000 of business per month, right? And everything will be delivered to you after you pay advance to us. So we set our stringent terms and conditions as big brands would do then. And you won't believe, people really believed us, and we got, people lined up to get the dealership for our company. And so you were talking of the capital. I told you the product would come from this Trans Yamuna company. So we had 60 days terms of credit with him. And here, when we were selling this product, we would get that payment in advance. In any case, if you sell in cash and buy in credit, where is the need for capital?
Okay,
So the capital
wonderful.
need was not actually fed. And day one, we were successful.
So that was when you were outsourcing, but when you set up your own industry, you
I-
chose Mohali as a place.
No, I tell you what happened. 6 months, it looked everything is going very well. I mean, it was dream come true. But thereafter, there were lots of problems which I would see coming from our supplier. The quality which was agreed upon was not supplied. The quantities which were agreed upon, so he could not make that much.
Even the time schedule.
The time schedules were not being met. So all these things were there. And on top of it, this guy, when he saw, oh, there's a lot of business coming. So this guy jacked up the prices, despite that the agreement was something else. So all these problems were there, and those were not those, we did not have telephones to talk very regularly. You had to actually physically go there. So one fine morning, I thought this guy is not behaving the way he should be.
So
I
you
went
should
there.
be setting up your own.
I went there, and then I, bashed him left, right, and center. I abused him, and we Punjabis are very good at that. But this guy also said, okay, to hell with you. I don't want to supply then if you're not interested like this. So whatever verbal agreement we had, it came to a standstill. So the
That
company-
forced you to set up your own factory.
So for 3 months there was nothing that we were doing. So the business was closed. But thereafter, after the bout of that depression you get, after such kind of a jolt.
You were married by that time?
I was not married by then.
You were still young.
Yes.
Okay.
So what happened that I thought, a friend of mine came to me, he says, it's not the end of the world. And I took the stock of the situation again, and what I found to my surprise was, the situation was not as bad as I initially had thought. Because I had a lot of money with me, and then I had that realization that the product is really in demand, and the business plan I had made is actually working, right? And I already had so many dealers who were annoyed with me but still wanted to work with me. So that was good enough, I think, a positive feeling that I thought, let me do it.
Set up your own.
Now,
So when you really started on this journey of setting up an industry, then what were you had no experience of handling the Inspector Raj, you had no experience of handling labor, and I don't know what kind of technology was involved, but you were not trained or exposed to factory working. So what were the initial learning then?
see, I tell you, I was involved with this factory of Delhi. So I knew what was the technology, almost, I would say. I knew how the things have to be run. But when you talk of this Inspector Raj and all these departments coming and troubling you, see, when you are very small, these departments do not notice you, right? But then when you grow a little big, all these people come. And then by the time we had, strengthened up ourselves, and we were very ethical. Let me tell you, ethics have been the most important reason that we have seen the success. Because in the last 25 years of my business, I have never paid a single penny to any of these departments. Whether they asked, whether they came, they put cases on us, or they even would ask us to stop the production, and they would do all sorts of things to us to trouble us, but we were strong inside.
How did labor per se, did they give you some learning curve?
yes, labor was a problem initial days. Those were the days when the labor relations as such with the owners were not good.
It's because of inexperience, or generally labor was like that?
Maybe inexperience, maybe general way, the way the owners would treat their labor or the labor would treat their owners. So there was a big gap. So we also had our first strike where the labor unrest was there for 15 days. There was a huge jam pack. The factory had to be stopped.
From there, your journey started on the quality front, where you went into certifications and introducing
I
the
tell you,
international standards.
when I actually started my own production unit, then I saw that it had all the features of that low quality Delhi manufacturers. Since I was trying to mimic him. But that was the time when I joined MIA, the Mohali Industry Association, and I also joined CII. So it was the first time that I came across a lot of industrialists, and I had a chance to visit their factories. So, what I found was, that it was altogether a different ball game to run a unit and the way I was running. So it was something like that, as if a person jolted out of his slumber, from 18th century, you get into 21st century. Then I knew, this is how the industries actually perform and function.
Yeah, you were talking about the cluster development program.
See, I tell you that that was a game changer for us. Because our product was in great demand. That means the problem lied on the other side, that is the production. And we had no clue how to run an efficient production system. And that was when we came across this cluster program being run by CII, headed by Dr. Sarita Nagpal. And that is when she taught how the production has to be done for such kind of a very labor-oriented production, very complex production, where a lot of raw materials and a lot of people were involved. And we went through this process. And we learned Toyota production system. And believe me, Toyota production had all the answers to all our problems. So it was 100% solution for our problems. And we came across this project in 2003. It was for 1.5 years. And thereafter, life changed for us. Till 2003, it was like, every day we will think of shutting this unit down, because there were lots of problems on the management of the production. But there we got that silver lining for us, and all our problems started melting away, and we saw a new vigor, new vitality, new growth in our company. Our quality improved, our productivity went up, the relations with our workers went up, right? And rejections went down, our profits went up. And the most important was that before the implementation of Toyota, all our money would go, even if there were profits, would go back into running of the company. But here, Toyota gave us for the first time that how you can actually take out a large chunk of money, because the inventory levels were reduced and the work in process was reduced. So all that, contributed a lot towards the success of our company.
So once you started on quality journey, through cluster development program or Toyota program, normally it is believed in a layman's language that quality has a cost. So actually this quality movement was a cost, or actually it was a profit for you?
No, I don't believe quality is a cost, first of all. I believe quality is a way of life, and quality gives back more than you invest on it.
So it's a profit center.
It's a profit center.
Okay, wonderful. So now you have reached a stage where your production was stabilized, you were on a consistent growth path. What was your turnover at that level, and which year we are talking about?
See, let's say we are talking of 2003 or 4, so must be around 2 crores
Was your turnover?
turnover of the company.
when you started your quality journey
Yeah.
and when you got stabilized a bit, maybe when you had a smooth running, everything implemented, what was that stage?
See, it took us, the initial implementation was while the cluster was going on. So it was around 2003 to 2004, right? Thereafter we were on our own. So from 2004 to 2008, there were so many other game changers, which came along because there was a lot of positiveness around the company, the growth, and we had a lot of money. Before Toyota, we did not have money, right? So the first thing what we did was that bring in the quality systems. So one was ISO 9000, one ISO 13485, all the quality standards. So quality standards, they are multiple and each one contributes towards your quality journey in its own way, right? Next was that Toyota brought in the system of that every worker is a quality inspector, is a quality man, right? Again, he is trained to understand the quality and improve upon the quality. So the Kaizen culture comes and a lot of continual improvement starts happening on its own.
So from there on, you reached a stage where you had implemented Toyota as Japanese taught us. Now from there on, you did your PhD. So take us that journey from implementing to getting a PhD. What was it?
So it came much later actually. From 2004-5 onwards, so we were actually doing whatever we understood out of Toyota. And which was, if I put it like this, 20 to 25% of Toyota was actually implemented. But then there was a great respect for this system, great attraction to understand and learn it. So around 2008 is that when we started, working again on it to take our company to the next level of Toyota implementation. So thereafter I started reading on my own the Toyota way, the Toyota books, and more so the history of Sir Toyota and those times when Toyota actually developed this theory, this model. And there was a great insight that I got from that. And then, Toyota, if I tell you, is written by mostly the Westerners. And they have complicated the whole thing in such a way that there are, let's say, about 20 tools in Toyota production system. And each tool is written in about 100 or 200 pages. That means it's a whole big volume. And the kind of people we had, they were not big engineers, they were either diploma holders or even not even engineers at all. So we were finding it tough to read and then decipher it and then implement it. But what I did, because I thought there is plethora of wealth in it, so I would read it myself and then convert into a very simplified version, implementable version of it.
So it was a Toyota to Tanor.
I would not say Tanor way. I would say it would be called as the Indianized version of Toyota production system. So my aim was very clear that this should be an implementable model, not more than half a page or 1 page at all for one tool. And next was that a layman like an undergraduate can also read, understand and implement it. And we started doing it tool by tool. And the result was absolutely magical. So what we found was that each tool when we would implement would change a lot of things apart from the productivity. So 15-20% increment in productivity would come by the implementation of a single tool. So that means 15 to 20 times, 300% increase in productivity was a great thing for us. And not only that, it changed our position as a leader in marketing in the country. We were maybe 10th, maybe 12th in the industry then. But after that, we had a very high quality product and we had so much productivity that our products were most affordable. So the philosophy with which we started to create a company with very high quality products but affordable really came alive after that we implemented it
How many years of your journey?
See, that was around 2008 to 2009 that we started understanding Toyota in its new avatar.
So from these tools which you developed, how industry at large, nationally or internationally, were sensitized about it, and how many have benefited with it?
See, I tell you, we can do a lot to change the way the business is being run in India today through the implementation of Indianized version of Toyota production system. Particularly so for all those production methodologies or products where a lot of labor is involved, the production process is complex. But apart from telling a few friends about this whole story and helping them to implement it, I don't think so anybody else would have got benefited.
But you were referring to, when we were discussing earlier, you were referring to one international presentation.
See, I
us
tell
through
you,
that,
I was
yeah,
so
journey.
enamored by this theory that wherever I will go, I would have one subject to talk about. So once I was getting trained in one of the projects in Rotterdam, right? It's a Netherlands, India-based project. So I was there, and there were people from 60 countries getting the same under the same program. They were all manufacturers. They were all from medical devices. So I was asked to give a lecture on whatever subject I had to choose from, and the time allotted was 2 hours.
Oh, big.
Right? So I chose to speak on this new form of Toyota production system. And then how I started was that you are manufacturers, please write down all your problems you're facing today on a piece of paper and submit it to me today. Right? And after 2 hours that I deliver, all your problems will be solved. So this is how I started. And people were mesmerized by the theory, by the outcome of it, because 80% of the people, they raised their hands, yes, their problems got solved. So it was so magical. And we got the first prize out of that presentation.
And there were how many people?
There were about 200 people
Oh,
in all.
So that was the international audience, or they all were from India?
No, that was international audience for various countries. Maybe around from 60 odd countries. 60
So
presenters
it
were
was
there.
the international recognition of the effectiveness of your tools.
No, it was
Internet.
actually, it was just, they were trying to tell us marketing and how to enter European market. The subject was very different. But then they were checking our orations skills, right? So it was just a byproduct for them that I was talking of Toyota, and everybody learnt about Toyota. But then there were a lot of senior people sitting there. So one of them, they said, okay, this subject is new to us, and it has absolutely a great, there's an opportunity that you can improve the industry standards all over the world. So all the developing countries can benefit out of it because it's such a simplified theory. And there I met this guy, Dr. Frank, and he prompted me to go in for a PhD in this subject. Right? Though I am from a pharma field, and doing PhD in almost engineering science was very alien to me. I had never thought of it. But then the first seeds were, sowed by him. And then I came back, and then I started, collating everything, what we were doing in our company.
So that started your PhD journey, Hannah. So which was the institution where you registered for your
See,
PhD?
I got this from European Continental University, Delaware, US. But then most of the time I was working in Singapore for this. And it was basically, I would do my work in my own company, and for writing thesis and doing this. So I had a person attached to me from the university. So we would do it together. And it was Singapore that I got this degree.
Oh, wonderful.
Yeah.
This is your personal journey. In this journey, how much your family caught up with you? Was it a collective journey of everyone involved? How many people are involved from your family into your business?
Yeah, I tell you, family was very much part of the business. Okay. In a way, because initially I needed that support. Because I told you, before we implemented Toyota production system, this business had profits, but we could never take it out. So family was supporting me. And later on, my younger brother joined. So the business was growing. I alone could not handle it. So now what happens is that there are 15 departments in our company. All the 9 operational departments are being handled by my younger brother, Mr. AJ Singh.
So you have only one family member who is involved in your business.
No, in the last 1.5 years, my son, who graduated from UFE, the University of Fraser Valley, Canada, so he has joined us. And now, first 9 months, he was just a deputy manager trying to learn the selling skills here. But yes, he had worked in a telecom company in Canada and had an exposure to selling there. So now today he is the national sales head of our company, and he is bringing in a new life to the sales part, because he has introduced 4 softwares to manage the large workforce. Now we are intending to bring in the sales side.
Wonderful.
We were only having 30 people 2 years back.
You're talking about CRM.
Yes, the
Customer
CRM part
relationship
also.
management.
CRM part also. So, and there are the team management, the Salesforce part also, and also kind of connecting all our C&Fs together into one software. And then there is a continuous learning model where salespeople go and they can take the classes and then they give the tests and they are evaluated automatically on that application.
Tell me, your business started with offline stores, through stores and through meeting the doctors and all, a typical pharma. How much of your business is now online? I mean, what is your presence on online businesses?
See, when we talk in terms of percentage, it might be very, very small.
At this
might
moment.
be less than 2%.
Do you see a future there?
Yeah, there's a huge future, but then there is a dilemma. We have developed a huge physical infrastructure and the distribution system. We have 1,100 very loyal, very nice distributors attached to us, and about 3 lakh chemists are stocking Tylenol products.
So your
At the
problem
same time,
is-
when we move to the online system, where discounting is the only way of selling,
Yeah.
right? So there is a problem there, but yes, slowly and slowly we are moving towards it. Amazon is there with us, Flipkart is there with us. They are our distributors.
But still your volume is very small at this
The
moment.
volume is very small because we are not putting any energies, any focus there.
Now, we talked about your journey, we talked about your marketing presence, and now about your technology front. How much of automation? I mean, I know quality issues have been resolved, but how much the technology automation, the robots or from manual to how many operations have been shifted to automation?
See, I tell you, technology is not all about robotics and automation like this. But technology is very, very small things which are, even small fixtures, small SPMs, special purpose machines, and small things that we do in the system, they add to the automation part of it, right? How I explain it is that, let's say this year we grew by 40%, but our workforce grew only by 18%. That means 22% of our growth actually came through the automation part of it, right? But yes, when you are asking very specifically about robotics and all, we installed our first robot 3 months back.
Okay.
Right? So this robot now takes care of all our welding processes, which is very inhuman, very difficult for a human because it is a hazardous process.
See, when you talk of robotics, once you start seeing the benefit of precision and the productivity of robotic movement, you slowly want to use it in various other operations. As you said that you are going to use many more in days to come. How will it impact your employment growth? I mean, your social cause of giving employment, you are basically labor-oriented industry.
So I tell you, first of all, the social model we have. We go to the villages, we see people who do not have any skills and are not employable. We get them to our factory. We have an institute right, where we give them the skills.
Oh, wonderful.
Right?
In-house training institute.
In-house training institute. So that solves so many problems for us because we do not have dearth of skilled people.
During training, do you pay some stipend or something?
Yes, we pay.
Okay.
So apart from food, we give them 1500 rupees as a way to commute, right? So it's a social model.
And that's
They
the training
not-
for how many days?
60 days.
And after that, he is guaranteed a job.
Those who pass. See, the test is taken by the government agency and they issue the certificate.
So, those who pass, what is the percentage of people who have taken training and have been declared to be passed?
So I tell you, okay, every batch of 60 students, there are about 50 who pass.
Okay. What happens to the remaining 10? They again go through the training?
They can.
Okay.
It is up to them.
And-
And out of that 50 that they pass, we say that if you want to start your own business, you can do. If you want to go to another industry, you can do, right? But they are so happy working with the kind of atmosphere we have. So most of them, they want to get employed with us.
So, what you're saying is every batch of 60, 50 people are getting job with you.
No, I did not say that. 50 get cleared, number one. Out of that 50, maybe 35 to 40 get employed with us. It is their choice.
Okay. So, what is your total labor force at this moment?
See, we have around 1100 people working today in the company.
Directly
Direct.
with you in your factory environment, including your administrative staff.
Yeah, including everything.
So 1100 people employed right now. Now, once your robotic intervention starts, how will it impact the labor?
See, I told you, robots are just a small thing in the total journey of
But they
productivity
do
increase.
replace.
They do replace. That is how I told you that if we grow by 40%, another 20% would be, through the productivity increase, and 20% would come from the direct new manpower.
So which means you are saying you will in any case keep growing and you will in any case create job opportunities for people.
Of course, I tell you, because
Have you ever done redundancy? I mean, has any labor been taken off your record?
no, never. I tell you why. Because we in Toyota believe in that multi-skilling is a very important part. So this guy is already multi-skilled, and that is where the training institute comes into play. Our people cannot be redundant at all. So if they are not good in one area, they can go to another department, another process. So redundancy doesn't come as such.
So what are your future expansion plans? I mean, in between, I think you had some collaboration with France.
Yeah.
So what is that collaboration? How did that happen? How did you choose France and what they brought on table?
See, I tell you, it all happened in 2008. We did not choose them. They came looking for us, right?
Through?
So they came through a consultant called Technopack. So Technopack is a big consultant. They hired them, and they say that we only want to meet the top 3 of the country, and we were number 4 then, right? So when we were number 4, they never wanted to meet us. But then they had an extra day in India. They somehow say, okay, we are sitting in Delhi, this guy is in Chandigarh, let's go and meet him. So, and they came, and when they met us, the sheer energy they saw in the people, in the system, they said, oh, it's the first 3 are not good, let's go with the 4th one. And then we signed up with.
Which is this company? Is it
It is
corporate or is it
Tuan-
family-owned business?
It is a Tuan of France, and they are the largest French company in this field. The same field as.
Is it a
orthopedic-
family-owned or it's a corporate?
It's actually a family-owned, but it's a very big company, which is 170 years old now.
Oh, okay. So was it just a stroke of luck? Is that a breakthrough you got, the biggest breakthrough you consider?
See, that was a way that we started thinking in a new way, right? First of all, that we were cash strapped all through because we started very small with a small capital, but these guys gave us so much money. So at least after 2010, we never felt the dearth of money.
How much money they invested and
They-
for how much equity?
They invested 14 crores and they took away equity of about 24%.
24%.
So
Wonderful.
that was such a small value, the evaluation they gave us, around 60 crores then in 2010. Now we did another round of funding, which was a few months back, is that when we have got a valuation of 1,000 crores.
Oh, wonderful. Wonderful. Acha, within this 7-8 years.
10 to 17 actually.
So, how much you have raised now?
So we have raised 143 crores.
So, what are you going to do with the money? Is it too much of money? You're already running.
Well, I
you're
tell
a
you,
cash-rich
we
company.
are a cash-rich company.
Do you have any loans?
No, we don't have.
So, you are a zero debt company,
Zero debt company, yeah.
and then still you raised money for what?
See, we had a bit of loans before that we raised, but that was not a huge sum. But yes, our plans are very different. Because I believe that since it is a labor-intensive product, and I have seen most of the most advanced plants of the world, right, in US, in Europe, right? And they are, yes, a bit advanced in terms of productivity and in automation, but still it will by and large remain a very labor-intensive production product. So that means that the large-scale production would only happen in countries like India, China, where you have abundant labor.
So,
at a low cost.
China, is China a competitor to you?
Yeah, it is.
So,
But we don't fear China.
what is your cost competitiveness with them?
First of all, we are more competitive than China at the moment.
In cost.
In cost also, in quality also, we can deliver a better quality product at a lesser cost than China, right? But we have issues with the raw material availability. The quality of raw material, what is
They are getting
available in
is
India,
better.
is not as good as what they.
So, it depended on what? I mean, what kind of raw material you're using?
Even fabrics, even velcros, even all these small stuff.
These
even
things are not
aluminiums.
that quality available anywhere in India, or
Anywhere
in
in
your zone it is
No,
not
no,
there?
we are not first of all, a regional company now. We export to 50 countries and we import from all over the world.
Coming to that, what is your percentage of exports?
See, 20%
In your total
is
sale?
20%. See, we are doing about 200 crores of turnover
Now.
this year.
So, from 2 crore to 200 crore, 2 crore in 2002 to now 200 crore in 2018. Wonderful. So, this journey, you say you are exporting to 50 countries, 50 other countries. There also China is your competitor.
Yes.
What is your growth plan? Will you remain India-centric, manufacturing base, or if given a chance where you have a competitive advantage of cost, you may choose one of these countries which are importing, and if you have a cost advantage, like are you exporting to which is your biggest country?
So
where you're
let me
exporting?
explain that. First of all, let me tell you what are our future plans.
Yeah, sure.
Our future plan is to make Tynor the biggest company, the biggest manufacturing company of the world. So now, since we are amongst the top 30 today of
In the world.
in the world, and we are number one in the country, right? So we have clearly chalked out how to become the number one.
In that journey, is it going to be multinational or it's going to be national only?
It will be a national production and selling in all the countries. Like we are established today ourselves in Canada, and we have got a super success response from Canadian distributors and the pharmacies. So that's an eye opener for us. Why? Because that was the first developed nation where we have our own marketing team. Otherwise, we'll just appoint a distributor and he will try to sell in that country.
Tomorrow you get an opportunity where the cost of production is much lesser and the access to European market give you an advantage. Will you still remain India-centric manufacturing base, or you can consider if it is cost advantage of setting up in Vietnam or somewhere else?
So production has to be centered in India. That is what our thoughts are today. Because India is the most ideal destination for production for such kind of a product.
Within India, do Punjab offer you some kind of an advantage in terms of raw material or the human resource? Or so what is it that Punjab offers you as an advantage to grow here only? Or
See, Punjab offers the biggest thing One is the kind of relations with the labor. So we
Yeah.
do not have labor unrest here. The quality of people available in Punjab probably are the best
Okay.
as
great.
compared to any other state. That's the
Oh,
first
wonderful.
advantage, and we need a lot of people, right?
Wonderful.
In our next plant, we have already planned, which is maybe 5 times bigger than this one, and we are planning to employ another 1,000 people.
Here only in
Here
Mohali.
in Mohali, we have already bought the land,
Very
and we
good.
have already got our plans made, and we have everything now at least on the paper, and land bought, and the architects are working. Within the next 2 years, we
Very
will
good.
have a capacity which is almost one of the top 10 in the world.
Dr. PJ, it's such a pleasure to know. I know you since last 25 years, and I have seen you grow as a human being. I've seen you grow as an entrepreneur, and I've seen you grow as a social person. I mean, your stature in society has also grown a lot. If you have to give a message to a young generation who is aspiring to become an entrepreneur, entrepreneurs have got a lot of risks, a lot of turmoil to go through. That message which inspires them, what will that be?
See, there are 3-4 things I see which have got a lot of impact in my success story. The first thing is that I chose a labor intensive product. So India still has abundant labor, skilled labor, and a very nice quality labor. Let us go with those products where the labor is required.
Okay,
You get an advantage over the world, rest of the world. That's the first thing.
wonderful.
The second thing what I see is that today the industry academia partnership is a key thing, because all the knowledge is lying on the academia side, and industry is simply grappling with basic problems. All you have to do is get aligned to this partnership.
Wonderful.
Right? So that is the second mantra of our success. The third, which is absolutely very important, is that work for your people. It's the people who make your company run. Work for them. Give them everything what they want, including training, including the best of environment, including the growth. So this is what is a game changer. And the last, which is the most important, is the ethics. So without ethics, you cannot become big.
Dr. PJ, I was just thinking that in Punjab, especially in Punjab, youth is looking for icons, youth is looking for mentors. If 10, 20, 50 entrepreneurs, they come to you with certain ideas and they want you to handhold them, maybe fund them and guide them through their journey as a payback to the society, how much open you are in guiding youth of Punjab to take entrepreneurship as a route than looking for a job?
I'll split this question into two parts, and I will quote you an example how we are doing it. One is that if somebody is already running a industry, and it's a labor intensive industry, we can be of a great help, because through the Indianized Toyota production system, we can tell them how to manage, how to increase their
Wonderful.
productivity. That's one part of it.
So they can come and learn from
they
you.
They can come, they can see the unit. It is open for everybody.
Wonderful.
We can teach them, we can give them our people to implement the system in their company free of cost.
Wonderful.
The second thing is the fostering of a entrepreneurial thing mind
new.
into our people. See, what we have done is that we went to the great institutes like IITs. So we found that these youngsters have great ideas, right? But then they open up startups also sometimes, but then by and large they are not successful even after that. We only have 2-3% of success. So what we have done of late is we have started adopting these startups.
Wonderful.
Where we tell them that you run your company, you give us a small equity in that.
So you are a venture fund on your own.
And yeah, we give them a ready-made office, we
Great.
give them everything ready-made. their mind, and rest is everything ours. And then we say, or okay, you decide what kind of equity you want to pay us for all these services.
So how much of fund is there? Is it your own fund or it's a crowd funded?
See, it's not a crowd funded. Today we are flush with funds because we already have raised this fund. But then, you know, you won't believe, not much fund is actually required the way we work. Our style of working is that you can actually run a company without funds, right? Because we would ensure profits day one. So the company we have made now, which is going into prosthetics, right? Believe me, there's not even a single company in prosthetics in India who can compete with the large giants of the world. And there is a huge business potential. So this is one area everybody can look at. So what we did, we brought 3 students from Vellore Institute of Technology. So they have set up a complete unit with our help, and they have gone into prosthetics. So we are giving them outside support and along with funds and everything they need, marketing support, production support, and the system support.
So which means in future you can look at outsourcing some of your product lines.
No,
where you can
we are not
introduce-
talking of outsourcing.
At
We
this
are-
moment.
No. We don't believe in outsourcing because there is a system that we have developed in-house.
Within that system also, you can implement those systems in the outsourced.
So what
company
we are
also.
actually planning to do is that there is a group of students, a startup, who is within this medical device industry and they need help, so we can adopt them.
Great idea and great work being done. Thank you so much, Dr. PJ. Pleasure meeting you. A long time, knowing you so well. God bless you.
Thank you. It was such a pleasure.
Thank you, sir.
Right.